Okay, welcome everybody to our first episode of Gardening with Greenie. My channel has primarily been a lot of video game content, but I really do want to go into the gardening side of things and share my passion for plants that I've come to find over the last few years. Over the weekend, I had the chance to plant a bunch of these lovely seeds, and I ended up having some leftovers. As you can see here in this packet of pepper seeds, we have just a couple stragglers left, and they're totally fine to sit in storage, but I just want to plant them and see if we can get them growing. We have 2 of our 3x5 seed cells here that we're going to plant a bunch of leftovers in, and we're going to keep track of them here on YouTube over the course of the year. So we're going to talk about what you need. First, of course, you need your seeds. I ordered these ones from rareseeds.com, but I'll typically buy them from my local box stores, nurseries, anything that catches my eye really. The sky's the limit. Obviously, depending on where you live, what you can grow and what you will want to grow will vary. Next up, we have our 2 3x5 seed cells right here, and typically these come with a clear plastic dome that goes over the top. I seem to have misplaced mine, and we do need those to keep our seeds humid, but I do have an improvised fix for this that we will go over shortly. Also, while we're on the subject of humidity, one of the things you're going to want to buy for your seed growing experiment is a heating mat. This helps keep everything nice and toasty and really encourages humidity for your seeds. Now, obviously, one of the most important factors for your seed growing is the soil. You can use a generic potting mix, but I find that the fertilizers and organic materials that are in normal potting soils are not ideal for seed growth. So what I recommend is a seed starting mix. The soil is really light, very airy, lacks the organic materials that are going to cause funguses and algae and pests, and gives your roots the best chance at getting started. Probably one of the most important factors is lighting. Now, if you have a good window that gets about 10 hours of sun a day, you can do that. Otherwise, you're going to want to look into grow lights. It might seem like a lot, but I promise the most basic options will do, and a lot of seed kits will actually come with lights that'll work just fine. And that's typically what I use for all of my seeds. Okay, now we're on to the fun part. We're going to start by adding our soil to our seed cells. You don't want to pack the soil in, you actually want it to be as light and airy as possible so that the roots have a place to grow. So we're going to just finish getting all of this packed in here. And then after we do that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to make tiny little indents that are very shallow. You don't want your seeds to be deep in the soil because they still need to be exposed to the light and oxygen. And then we're going to start just going through our seeds. So we're starting off with our pepper seeds here. I typically like to do 3 to 4 seeds per cell because not all seeds are going to germinate most of the time. So it's good to just keep a realistic expectation. And if you do have more than 1 seed per cell that germinates, you can either thin them out as they grow along, or you can repot them in their own little cell later on as they get bigger. Something important to mention is that we are planting these seeds early. It is mid-March. We are planting them 8 to 12 weeks early. They like to be started about 12 weeks before the final frost, which of course will vary depending on the area you live. But this gives the plant a chance to get nice and big and strong and develop a really solid root system before it gets moved outside eventually to be grown outdoors. Other plants like peas, carrots, corn, and all types of squash variants prefer to not be started early. They like to be directly sown into the ground when the time is right. If you're not sure when to start your seeds, usually the seed packet will tell you the optimal time for planting. But those plants typically don't transplant very well. They get shocked a little too hard, and then the plant ultimately dies. And I definitely speak from experience on this. So for my area, the final frost is right around the end of May. So I am even a little bit late getting these seeds started, but they should still do really well by the time they're ready to be moved outside, and they'll go through a process called weathering, which of course we will talk about when we get to that point. So after you've got your seeds all planted, you want to just add the thinnest layer of soil just to make sure everything's nice and covered. You still want them to be exposed to that light and oxygen for optimal growth, but obviously they need that soil's nutrients to help them sprout. So for watering, you're going to want a spray bottle. Any spray bottle will do. You're going to want cold water from the tap. You don't want filtered water because that actually messes with the pH levels and messes with your success ultimately at the end of the day. So we're just going to get everything nice and wet. It's very important for seeds that they stay moist during their early process. And then after that, we're going to do what's called bottom watering. We're just going to add some water to the water catcher part of our seed cells. And this just helps the dirt at the bottom of our seed cells absorb some of that water, which will help provide more humidity and just make it so we have to spray the tops of the plants less often. So now that we've bottom watered, we're going to give everything one final spray just to make sure everything is nice and moist. And now to help assist us in trapping all this moisture, we've got these cool domed humidity lids that I mentioned earlier. Now you're thinking, there's holes in here, this doesn't help. So we have these cool humidity stoppers that'll help trap all that moisture, and then it helps us out when we have sprouts because the sprouts actually need that air. So we'll just be able to twist those open when the time comes. Now, probably an hour or so after being on the heat mat, I realized there wasn't enough humidity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove those white cells because the humidity levels should look something like these guys over here. And here we are a couple days later. We have sprouts, and I'm very excited. I can't wait to share more with you guys over the upcoming weeks. So hit that sub button, and we will see you later. Thanks for watching.